Hello everyone and welcome back to our Destined Legends Learn to Play series. My name is Ali Showkati, the creator of the game, and I'm here today to talk to you about weapons and combat. Combat is the cornerstone of the game, but it's actually fairly simple once you get the hang of it. To get a better sense for combat, let's take a look at a weapon card. At the top you have the weapon's name, its level, and its element. Your party has to be at least the level of the weapon in order to use it. In the case of the Black Cutlass, you need to be level 3 or higher in order to equip it to a legend. The Black Cutlass is also a dark elemental weapon, meaning that only dark legends can equip it. On the bottom half of the card, under the artwork, is a stack of abilities you can perform with the weapon. In the case of the Black Cutlass, we have Nova, Double Slash, and Stab. Let's break down what you see here with each ability. From left to right, you have a symbol. This tells you whether the ability is physical or elemental in nature. This comes in play mostly with status effects. Next is the ability type. There are 5 ability types in Destined Legends: Range 0, Range 1, Range 2, Skill, and Counter. When it comes to attacking a target, we can only use ranged abilities, as represented here by a 0, 1, or 2. Range 0 means that you have to be in the same row as your target in order to target them. Range 1 means you can be a maximum of 1 row away. And finally, Range 2 means you can be up to 2 rows away from the target that you want to attack. Moving to the right of the ability is a series of die roll numbers. These are the weapon's charge numbers, or the numbers you must roll in order to be able to use the ability. Next over is the ability's direct damage. This column shows you how much HP of direct damage this will cause your opponent. We'll go over the significance of direct damage in a little bit. Sometimes an ability will have additional instructions. Be sure to read these instructions and perform them after any damage the ability causes. Next, a weapon may have a counter or skill ability. A skill is always in effect, so be sure to read the skill out loud immediately after you equip it to a legend. A counter comes into play every time you're hit with direct damage. Now that we know the layout of the weapon card, we can enter combat. So let's go ahead and play out Cedric's legend phase. You begin by rolling the 6-sided die. This is called charging. Charging defines which of your weapon's abilities you can use against your target. In the case of our Black Cutlass, if we roll a number between 2 and 6, we can choose to use Nova. If we roll a 5 or 6, we can choose between using Nova and Double Slash, since both abilities show a 5 and a 6. As you may have noticed, none of these abilities' charge number includes a 1. This means that if you roll a 1 with charging this weapon, you miss your attack, effectively doing nothing. So let's try a round of combat. I rolled a 4. This means that I can only choose Nova. After I've chosen my ability, I will choose a target to attack. In this case, I want to attack my opponent. Since I didn't move forward during my turn, Jordan is the only target that I can reach with Nova, since it has a range of 1. So then I do 4 HP of damage to Jordan. And the opponent removes 4 HP worth of tokens from Jordan's HP. Before we move on to the opponent's counter, we're not quite done with Nova. As you may have noticed, Nova also has a description. In this case, it reads, draw a card, then discard a card from your hand. So I'm going to go ahead and draw a card from my deck, and I'm going to go ahead and discard this extra cutlass I have. Now, since the ability I used had direct damage, we move on to the opponent's counter. Let's go ahead and take a look at Jordan's weapon, the Redwood Scimitar. It has a counter ability of Slash, and it has about a 50% chance of doing 3 damage. She rolls a 5, and since 5 is one of Slash's charge numbers, it hits me. And so Jordan does 3 damage back to Cedric. And finally, since Jordan's counter was successful, Cedric has to move back 1 row. In this case, Cedric is already as far back as he can go, so it doesn't apply here. So that's combat in Destined Legends. If you have any questions about combat, leave it in the comments below. And be sure to join us in our next video when we take an in-depth look at creatures and leveling.